Hi everyone, I'm Kelly. I've lived in Seattle, Washington for the past 4 years, and today I'll be sharing with you 11 things that you can do in Seattle and Washington State in the spring. So first, you can go see the cherry blossoms at University of Washington, also known as UW. On UW's campus, they have the quad, and it's filled with a bunch of cherry blossom trees. All the trees are almost 90 years old, so they're all very mature and really big trees. Usually the peak bloom is between late March and early April. It depends on how the winter and spring have been going that year. But you can stay updated with UW's live stream of the quad or through UW News. From my experience, this is what they looked like last year on March 22nd and 2 years ago on April 2nd. They also provide some visiting information, a campus map, and also tree safety information on their website. So it can get pretty busy. For example, this is what it looked like last year at around 6:30 p.m. and it was also a clear sunny day, so that's probably what brought the bigger crowds. A couple tips to avoid the crowds: you can go in the morning or on a weekday. So UW also provides another map where they outline where the other cherry blossom trees are on campus. And if you want to avoid just the crowd at UW altogether, there are also cherry blossom trees throughout the city. You can check out the ones that are across the street from the Seattle Art Museum, or there's one in a neighborhood in Capitol Hill. Also during this time of year, University District, also known as U District, they have a cherry blossom festival where several businesses will have cherry blossom themed specials or deals. You can easily get to campus by taking the Link Light Rail. You can get off at the University of Washington station or the U District station. If you want to see a bit more of what this is like, you can check out my vlog from when I visited the cherry blossoms before. I'll have that in the description box below. Number 2 is the Skagit Valley Tulip Festival. Every April, there are 4 tulip farms north of Seattle, and you can visit the farms and see all the tulips that are in bloom. You can buy tickets online, and they are open every day of April, rain or shine. When I went, it was raining and very muddy, so if you do see that it is raining on the day that you're supposed to go, I highly recommend wearing shoes that you don't mind getting dirty and also with good traction, because we saw a lot of people who did fall into the mud. I'll also link the vlog from my Tulip Festival experience in the description box. So number 3 is the Washington Park Arboretum, which is in the city. It is 230 acres filled with plants and trails, and I actually went for the first time this past weekend. So you can visit the Arboretum year round, but they have an area called the Rhododendron Glen, and in April there are several Pacific rhododendrons that just bloom throughout the city. So I'm sure that area is so beautiful in April once they all have blossomed. The Arboretum is a bit far from a lot of the other tourist attractions, so if you can't fit the Arboretum in your itinerary, you can still see all these different flowers blooming throughout the city, like daffodils, camellias, plum trees, magnolias, and Pacific rhododendrons. Number 4 is going on wildflower hikes. If you go on hikes in some of the drier areas, you'll see there are fields of balsam root and lupine and some other wildflowers that bloom earlier in the year. This is still on my to-do list, so I don't have any B-roll footage from hikes that I've done where I've seen these, but I have heard that from mid-April to June is a good time to see these wildflowers. And a couple wildflower hiking trails that I do have on my list where you could see those wildflowers are Chelan Butte Trail, Dog Mountain, and just trails in the Columbia River Gorge area. So Dog Mountain is one of the more popular trails to see these wildflowers, and they require permits on weekends and holidays, and you can apply for those online. Number 5 is going on a waterfall hike. The snow is starting to melt since it's getting warmer, so the flow of the water is greater. So you can do these hikes anytime in the spring. Just know that there still might be some snow on some of these trails. So you can look at recent trip reports on WTA or All Trails to see what the trail conditions are like. From my experience, this is what Tenerife Falls looked like 2 years ago on May 8th. I also have a video about 25 hikes in Washington if you want to explore more hikes, and that'll be in the description box too. Okay, number 6 is whitewater rafting. So you can book online with Alpine Adventures. That was the company that we used. They offer whitewater rafting for over 10 rivers, and varying difficulty levels in Washington. So you can see online they provide a list of what to bring and what they provide. We went at the end of May last year on the Skykomish River, which is about an hour away from Seattle. And based on the recent river conditions at that time, we were going on a class 5 river for our first time. Okay, number 7 is to go oystering. So you can harvest oysters on public beaches in Washington, and spring is a good time to do this. Technically, you could go year round, but each beach does have different seasons where you can harvest clams and oysters and also just oysters. So you can check out the chart on the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife's website. Spring is a good time to go oystering though, because there's more daylight, so you'll have a better chance of having a daytime low tide. You will need a permit to go oystering. So if you are visiting from out of town, or maybe shellfishing is something that is new to you and you want to see how it goes, you can just get a day use permit. You'll also want to check WDFW's website for the limit for oysters. So when you go, make sure you bring a shucking knife and a glove, since you have to leave the oyster shells on the beach. And I have a whole video about my first time oystering, and also provide a beginner's guide to oystering, so check that out in the description box too. Okay, number 8 is clamming. So similar to oysters, you can also harvest clams on public beaches in Washington. There are various different types of clams that you can find, and WDFW lists all of those on their website, so it's easy for you to identify them. Again, similar to oystering, this is something you can do year round, but spring is the best since there's more daylight. You'll also need a shell fishing permit to go clamming, so check that out. You'll also want to check online to see what the limit is for clams. So if you look at the information for each beach, you'll also see what is abundant in that area. So you can see if oysters are abundant or specific types of clams are abundant in that area. So make sure you bring a spade or a shovel or a hand rake. I have 2 vlogs actually from when I went clamming before, so I'll have those also in the description box. Okay, so number 9 is you can go to a Sounders game. That is Seattle's Major League Soccer team. Their season is from late April, early March until mid-October, and you can watch their game at Lumen Field. A tip that I do have is to get there early for the boom boom clap, which is a tradition that they do before the game starts. For the game that I went to, they posted that time in the email, so check your email to see what time that starts for your game. I also have a vlog from when I went to a Sounders game that'll also be in the description box below. Number 10 is going to a Mariners game, and that's Seattle's Major League Baseball team. Their season is from April to October. One tip that I do have is to visit the T-Mobile Pen, which is right next to the Mariners bullpen in center field. And gates open 2 hours before first pitch. So you can get there early to see pitchers warming up. You can also grab food and drinks there and meet up with anybody else who has a ticket to the game. You also can watch the whole game from there if you wanted. So maybe if your seats were super far away and you preferred the view down there, you could watch the game from there. Monica Church actually has a really great video where she shows you the T-Mobile Pen and various food spots, so I highly recommend checking that out. That'll be in the description box below, along with the vlog that I have from a Mariners game that I went to. And then number 11 is going to a Kraken game, and that's Seattle's National Hockey League team. Their season is from October to April, and you can catch their games at the Climate Pledge Arena at the Seattle Center. On weekends, some of the Amazon buildings in downtown do offer free parking, so an option that you can do is park your car there and then take the monorail from Westlake to the Seattle Center. So for those of you who are visiting from out of town, going to a Sounders, Kraken, or Mariners game would be a good thing to do, because T-Mobile Park, Lumen Field, and the Climate Pledge Arena are all in areas that are close to other tourist attractions. So it's definitely something that you can fit into your itinerary. And then also there are various modes of transportation to get to each stadium. So for T-Mobile Park and for Lumen Field, you can take the Link Light Rail to get to the Seattle Center. For Climate Pledge Arena, you can take the monorail. Also for the Sounders, Mariners, and Kraken games, check each venue's bag policy. As of this recording, they allowed clear bags, and also you can bring an empty, reusable non-glass water bottle, so that'll be helpful to not have to pay for water when you get to the venue. Thank you so much for watching this video. If I left out any activities, please let me know in the comments below. For those of you who are visiting Seattle for the first time, I highly recommend that you check out my Ultimate Seattle Travel Guide, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.